I'm gonna wear this for the entire episode.
Trying to bring good juju back to the Lakers.
More because of the Adam Mckay trailer.
Oh God.
We're gonna do a trailer roundup this week. I gotta wear like the Laker gear.
Yeah.
Dude,
boy.
That looked dynamite.
Sex and basketball.
Magic Johnson introducing Magic Johnson. Dude, you think there's gonna be like multiple seasons of that?
No, but they should do that.
What if they do it so it's like, okay, it starts off in the 80s, right? You got Magic Bird, then we go 90s, you got Magic HIV, and then we fast forward like 7 years, obviously take a more serious tone. Maybe we get a different director in there rather than Adam Mckay. Fast forward 7 years, maybe in season 3.
Shaq Kobe.
We're talking 3-peat. Then we're doing Shaq Kobe breakup, Drama City.
That's
right?
season 4.
Imagine if they had like a different director for every season, like a different showrunner, like capture the tone and everything. That'd be unreal.
Didn't even think of that.
This is the checkup. Take 1. Bada bing, bada boom. Ricky Flicks is on the horn alongside myself, Dr. O. We have the checkup for episode 67, which is going to be a departure from the actual episode. This is dropping the Wednesday after our usual Tuesday drop. Our pod was almost too jacked up from this week with Steven Spielberg, top billing draft, right? His best movies, West Side Story. We had too much to talk about. We gave you the news headlines, but we thought it would be best if we had a dual release this week, because there's also some great trailers that popped up this week, along with episode 9 of season 3 for Succession. We got to talk about what went down because holy cannoli, it was sick. But Ricky Flicks, great to be joining you on the second episode of the week. How are you, my friend?
Doing great. West Side Story was phenomenal. Hopefully you listen to that pod because wow, my favorite, the best movie of the year so far. The best movie of the year. So please listen to that episode if you haven't yet.
Yeah, and I think that's going to be reflective in our review. Make sure you're tuned in for episode 67, West Side Story. Like, don't dismiss it before you try and watch it. Right? There's plenty of people saying you shouldn't remake a classic. This might change your mind, right? Especially when you've got like Steven Spielberg at the helm.
And I'll say this, as a non-musical guy, I'm not anti-musical, but as a non-musical guy, I am saying that this is the best movie of the year so far. That should say a lot.
It shows you how good it is. Exactly.
Yeah.
If Ricky Flicks is giving a tip of the hat, a guy who is historically is not a non-musical guy, that's how you know it's a must-watch.
Must.
All right. With that being said, we're going to read you the checkup again. For those who missed it on the first podcast that we released this week, we're going to now repeat it here so you know what we're talking about. Ricky Flicks, you ready for the checkup?
Hit us up.
Let's check the audiences up. West Side Story has earned $14.9 million in the film's worldwide box office opening weekend. The film is underperforming financially despite its 4 Golden Globe nominations. Next up on the checkup, Tom Holland says he pitched an idea for Spider-Man 4 to Sony. And he said, quote, "But by telling you that idea, I'd be ruining this movie," end quote. Let's see how things pan out this week. Holland's interviews have been must listen. Speaking of Holland, he also mentioned that Amy Pascal approached him about a role in Across the Spider-Verse while he was on set for No Way Home. He also said no one has come back to him about the idea since. Sure, Tom, we believe you. We got our first look at John Boyega at 892, a biopic about Brian Brown Easley. The film will premiere at Sundance in 2022. Next up, some massive casting news. Florence Pugh, Rami Malek, and Benny Safdie have been cast alongside Robert Downey Jr., Matt Damon, Emily Blunt, and Cillian Murphy in Christopher Nolan's next film, Oppenheimer, on the creation of the atomic bomb. Next, Kingsman will begin filming in September and will wrap up Eggsy's story, played by Taron Egerton. The Kingsman, the prequel to the Spy franchise, will release on Christmas Day. Next, Disney has removed Deepwater, the erotic psychological thriller starring Ben Affleck and Ana de Armas, from its release schedule. Sounds about right. It will be released on Hulu domestically and on Amazon Prime Video internationally. At least we get to see it. Next up, Amandla Stenberg is in talks to star in the lead role for The Acolyte. And to wrap up the checkup this week, Thandie Newton is in talks to star in Magic Mike's Last Dance for Steven Soderbergh, starring Channing Tatum. Wow, let's see what she does after Westworld. That's going to do it for the checkup this week. Which headline from this week's checkup grabs your attention most?
Dr. O, I'm going to go off the radar. John Boyega.
What?
Playing this dude. He looks like Denzel. He looks like a Denzel.
With a shaved head.
It is crazy. And the glasses, it is incredible. It's incredible. And also, I don't know if this was in the checkup. I was kind of zoning out during the reading, but Michael K. Williams, I think this is his last role. Is in this movie.
I barely know about this story.
Oh, Dr. O, this is an insane story. So this guy, we call it Brian Brown Easley. Yeah, it's a biopic about him, a former veteran Marine, and he has a daughter, and he's getting like welfare checks from the government or like his military checks or whatever, but they just stopped coming in. I don't know why. I don't know if there's a purpose or something, but he's basically like, all right, I need money. It's either I go homeless with my daughter or I have to get money somehow. So he decides, all right, I'm going to walk into a bank and say I have a bomb.
Excuse me. This is like Cherry.
Yeah, no, it's like Cherry, but Sundance is going to be showing this. Yeah. Like it's going to be, I'm not going to say it's going to be good, but it has more potential, I think, than a Cherry did.
I thought Cherry had a lot of potential. I just don't think it was executed properly, but I think that guy gives me a Cherry vibe. This is a former veteran, needs money, goes to rob a bank. Like this is
an indie film too, I think. So it's going to be like really core. Where Cherry, like you could tell they put some money into like the training and like the actual army training and things like that. There was a lot of money thrown into that movie. I'm not sure what the budget was, but this one's an indie, so it's going to be interesting.
And we just made the comparison to Cherry. Do you know that Tom Holland was up for the same part that John Boyega got for Force Awakens and the sequel trilogy?
Wow.
I've been listening to these Tom Holland interviews because he's everywhere right now and he's not shy about doing these interviews. He was on Sean Evans' Hot Ones. You ever seen that?
Yeah, that's series? Good. That's really good.
So that's like with the Paul Rudd, like, look at us, like that one. Yeah. Who would have thought? So he did that interview and he said that he gave a story about how he auditioned for Star Wars. Tom Holland is, and he was going for John Boyega's part. He doesn't get it, obviously. But when you're reading for a Star Wars part, there's someone reading lines back as a droid, just going beep boop, beep boop. And it just, Tom Holland said he couldn't keep it together. It was just the most ridiculous thing that he's ever done in his life. And I don't know how any of those auditions like can be taken seriously when you have like a 45-year-old man going, it's just like
beep
impossible.
Boop, boop is Andrew Garfield and Tobey Maguire in No Way Home. Beep boop, bop, boop.
Beep boop, bop, boop. But yeah, so I guess that's a cool story though. The 892 with John Boyega. That's something I'm definitely interested in. Now that you've talked about it, what year did that happen? That story?
No idea, to be honest.
Is it recent?
I don't know. I honestly don't know. The picture of the person didn't look too old, but didn't look recent. So I'm not sure.
Wow. I'm looking at it right now. Missing disability payment, walked into a bank, took several people hostage. This is how he got there. This article was published in 2018. So Brian, no, it's happened in 2017, bro. This is really recent.
Yeah, wow. Well, any bank heist movie, let alone hostage, like I'm always in for it. And let alone a true story, like holy crap, I gotta see that.
He had an honorable discharge in 2005.
Oh, honorably. Yeah, disability. So yeah.
Honorable. Yeah. Man, this is fascinating. Yeah, John Boyega, we haven't seen him do much, I would say, recently. What's the last thing we saw him do other than Rise of Skywalker? What did he do afterward? He was in a show, wasn't he?
Yeah, he was in a show.
He did a limited series of some sort.
Yeah, he was in a show, but before that, Star Wars. He did Detroit a while back.
But yeah, so like I guess that was an interesting way to start. I did not see that coming. Let's talk about Oppenheimer, dude. This is the best cast maybe like since Don't Look Up. Like this is insane what I'm looking at. You already had the Robert Downey Jr., Matt Damon, Emily Blunt, Cillian Murphy, you think that would be enough, but no, let's add Academy Award nominee Florence Pugh. Let's add Academy Award winner Rami Malek. Let's add one of the best directors and most exciting young actors in the game, and Benny Safdie, and throw them in the cast as well. Which one of those three are you most excited to see in this upcoming film, Ricky Flicks?
Florence Pugh's on such a heater that I'm just looking forward to seeing her whatever she does. Let alone we just saw her in Hawkeye. Spoiler alert, whatever. I think she's one of the best young actresses in Hollywood right now. So seeing her with part of this cast makes me, especially next to Emily Blunt, another one of the biggest actresses in Hollywood. Like, this is just huge cast. Like you said, probably the biggest cast since Don't Look Up, and with Christopher Nolan at the helm. So it's coming out in July, or a summer movie. So I don't know about the Oscars, but this is all the makings of an Oscar type movie. Like, we talked about it before with the actual like story of the making of an atomic bomb. It has the Christopher Nolan element. It's going to be like a blockbuster type, maybe, perhaps. I'm not sure, but this cast says it is.
Let's do a game here, Ricky Flex. I'm going to say scientist or not. And I'm going to go through the cast here. And you're going to say scientist or not. I'm going to say whether I agree or disagree. So let's start off with the obvious. Let's go Cillian Murphy. Scientist. Agreed. Let's go on to Florence Pugh.
Not a scientist.
Love interest potentially of, well,
Cillian?
Not necessarily Cillian Murphy. That could be Emily Blunt, but we'll see. But Rami Malek.
Scientist.
Yeah,
no
absolutely.
Time to Die.
Right? You just automatically think of scientist. That's why he got the part, right? Because he was great with like
robot.
Yeah. So we're thinking Florence Pugh, no. Rami Malek, yes. Cillian Murphy, yes. Benny Safdie.
Yes.
I'm going no.
Wow.
I'm going no. But he kind of has that like
President.
curly hair, like craziness to him. You think he could be like a mad scientist of sorts. But scientists back then, they're really like, they got some buzz on the head. It almost seems like they're really like they're family men. Like, I just don't see that out of Benny Safdie. I'm going to go not. Maybe a guy who's funding many of these projects outside of the government somehow, right? Maybe he is
interesting,
a part of some of these corporations that are helping out with the development of the atom bomb. Let's go to Robert Downey Jr.
Scientist,
Comic
right? Relief.
Glasses.
Yep,
Robert
Zodiac.
Downey Jr. Absolutely scientist. Matt Damon.
Not a scientist. We're fooling out.
So Matt Damon is, I'm thinking like almost leaning towards that Benny Safdie. I'm gonna go the other way. I'm gonna say scientist, and let's finally go Emily Blunt.
Scientist. It's gonna be the one woman.
The scientist that Cillian Murphy falls in love with.
Boom.
That's who it is. Beautiful. But yeah, I can't believe we have to wait till 2023 for that movie. That's I'm not patient enough for that, and especially after Tenet, it's kind of like I want to see Nolan just get back on the high horse immediately. And it seems like with the casting coming together at this rate, he's kind of thinking the same thing. Let's just move on to the next one. The other one's probably like his biggest failure. Obviously, it's not necessarily his fault. It partly is his fault because the movie just wasn't as appealing to audiences. And just because it wasn't very comprehensible. And we know that he's not exactly the best when it comes to communicating with his audiences. He knows that they'll watch his movies, but will they understand and be receptive of them? That's a whole different thing. Yeah, but I'm pumped for that.
Very pumped.
Kingsman. We got to talk about Kingsman 3. The King's Man, right? The prequel to the King's Men trilogy or the franchise that is arriving in a few weeks. Christmas Day, a movie that is much delayed and one that has been getting very
like
mixed reviews. Very much mixed reviews. But I feel like the King's Man has, that's so annoying to like differentiate.
So annoying.
King's Man, like, this is like coming to America. Like it's like it's such BS. Like, just stop that. Just give it a different title.
Or it's like with Joker. It's not the Joker. It's Joker.
Yeah,
like that was annoying.
It's tedious. It's tedious for people just trying to talk about the movie. You want to get people to not talk about your movie? Name it The King's Man in the Kingsmen franchise. That's exactly how you do it.
Yes.
Right. Textbook. Don't get people to talk about your movie. But the I think the King's Man and this whole franchise has lost steam. I think the first one,
steam.
I think it peaked. The first one peaked. People were excited for the second one. The second one kind of fizzled. This King's Man has been much delayed, as I said before. It's getting very much mixed reviews at this point. I would say more negative than positive. So I mean, how excited are you for like a Taron Edgerson's third turn as Eggsy and his final turn?
Not excited at all, to be honest. I don't think the second one lived up to the hype. Didn't even live up to close to expectations. Tough to come off the first one like any origin movie, but I think just because it's just since that one like Channing Tatum and that whole American Secret Service that just didn't work. What they're going to do for this one, they're going to go back to their roots. Is Channing Tatum going to be in this one in England? You saw that teaser at the end of the second one. I don't know. Whatever they do, I don't have faith in it anymore. Like I don't have faith in the King's Man. And I'm not necessarily looking forward to seeing that movie where we'll have on the same day Matrix Resurrections coming out, which I am much more excited to see than the King's Man, which has lost its steam, as you mentioned.
I like it has lost its steam. It just had so much hope after the first
so
movie.
much hope.
There was like obviously you talk about the action sequences. A young, exciting actor in Taron Egerton who obviously had a passion for this role. It seems like
an English Mission Impossible type.
It almost seems like Eggsy, like he's gotten too big for the Eggsy role. Like he's gotten like obviously he's won a Golden Globe for playing Elton John in a biopic. He's doing this like Cold War Tetris movie that's coming out. I don't know how big that's gonna be, but it's been forever since he played Eggsy in a movie. It's
too
like
long. It's been
for
too
him
long
to come back. And like, when was that movie? 2017, I want to say the sequel.
I want to say, the sequel.
I think the 15 was the first one. 17 was the second one. We're talking 4 years. They're still going to work on developing. So maybe this isn't coming until 2023. We're talking 6 years from when like he's playing
he's well past it.
Yeah, he's playing like a young spy. It's just like, I don't know if audiences have a passion for this, or even he would still have the passion for this, and like what lies in his career, what lies ahead. I honestly could see him being cast in Oppenheimer. I could see that happening.
That'd be interesting.
Like if it's him instead of like Rami Malek, that's not bad. I don't know. I think that would work.
I can see Rami Malek being a villain in that movie too. Oppenheimer,
just like
turning on everybody. He's a communist inside. Yeah, he's a communist or Nazi inside that. Inside the U.S. operations.
Like if that would be like the storyline if Tarantino was writing this movie, there'd be some type of like political twist that never really existed in this like mission or in this operation. But yeah, I'm it's just sad what the Kingsman franchise has become, because it could have been something special. And there was always hints that it wasn't going to work. And it really starts with like the villainous aspect with Samuel Jackson, the first one. Yes, like Taron Egerton was absolute dynamite in that role. Colin Firth was dynamite. I don't necessarily like what they did with Colin Firth in the second one. Maybe you should have just kept him dead. But
yeah,
they found him such a likable character. I thought he was just made into a joke in the second one, and it kind of turned me off personally to it. And I don't like what they did with Channing Tatum, even though they set him up for his own freaking sequel that probably will never happen at this point, because no one cares. He's
going back to Magic Mike to try to regenerate his career, rejuvenate after playing the Dog movie, The Dog.
Exactly. Like I just don't think anyone gives a crap. Moving on, Ricky Flex. Where else do we want to go? That kind of like takes care of the checkup. Am I right? Like, is there anything else that like you're dying to talk about here?
Not really dying to talk about. I guess the only other thing I would say is Deep Water. That had high hopes that just fell off the wayside, huh?
Yeah. So I mean, I think this lost all its appeal when they broke up.
Yeah.
Right. It's like you have this steamy relationship, almost like a Brad Pitt, Angelina Jolie, and Mr. and Mrs. Smith, that like brings up like the appeal of the movie. It's going to bring up those box office numbers. They're like, these guys aren't a couple anymore. People are like more onto like, they're onto J-Lo and Affleck back together. Like, does anyone want to see like a steamy relationship movie between two people that aren't even together anymore? And maybe it just wasn't good. Like, there's a chance it wasn't good, even though like these are two of like the most well-liked figures, I would say, in Hollywood. So I will see it. I think we should do a review on it, because we are Ben Affleck fans and Ana de Armas.
Yes. It's a must. It's a must see. I think definitely if it's for free or you just pay for the streaming service, definitely a must see. And Adrian Lynn, who is directing this movie. Fatal Attraction, a
Wow.
classic, like husband wife or a husband
Erotic
affair,
thriller.
erotic thriller, which this is. This is the definition. Quick synopsis here: Deep water. Just to remind the audience here. A well-to-do husband who allows his wife to have affairs in order to avoid a divorce becomes a prime suspect in the disappearance of her lovers.
I would let
and this is a thriller.
She wants to.
So it's just, this is the definition of like a Fatal Attraction type movie. You got the director from Fatal Attraction. The writers of this movie, it's based off a novel. And when we think of novels and erotic thrillers like Gone Girl, you're thinking Girl on a Train. Some movies that have done well at the box office and some that are better than others critically. But also the writers, Zach Helm, Stranger Than Fiction, helped with that. So you have some people that have good experience in cinema and specifically with erotic thrillers. So, and you got two beautiful people that are well liked in Hollywood.
It's also Disney that has the rights to distribute this, and like
it's a rated R movie too.
It makes sense that they like aren't going to put this in theaters under the Disney umbrella. Like, it just wouldn't make sense. So there is a chance that it's not bad. It just can't go. They don't want it to be in theaters under Disney's name.
Yeah, and I
think that's gotta be a major part of it.
And I just, because like obviously this has, when is this gonna release? Early next year? 2023? What is it?
I just don't. It says it pulled from the release schedule. It will be released on Hulu domestically. Didn't give a date.
Okay, I just don't know, because you can't trust when these movies come out anymore. Obviously, October to December, or October is Oscar type movies. This won't be.
We lost faith in release dates due to COVID.
Right, exactly.
Forever lost faith.
Yeah, right. Like, the only guaranteed is October through December, but you could have an Oscar movie like in April. Like, it just could, because of these COVID
March
releases, or March. Yeah. So I just don't know anymore. I just don't know.
Speaking of potential March Oscar releases, let's go on to the trailer roundup this week. We have some exciting new trailers. Okay. One is a Japanese trailer for the Batman. Okay. An unexpected trailer that releases new footage and really juicy footage. It teases the Riddler further with Paul Dano and his voice, and it potentially teases the Joker in a still picture, right? That people are saying with a very creepy smile, with a background, like a black and white. And it seems like Paul Dano is collecting these images. Like, it seems like there's a young person that's wearing glasses, as a connection to Bruce Wayne and the higher ups in the history of Gotham, like the recent history of Gotham. And it seems like Bruce's parents are a part of this. His family's a part of this. Man, what do you think about that? And then you find out the Riddler he does know that Bruce Wayne is Batman by the end of the trailer. He said he calls him Bruce Wayne.
That was interesting.
They're kind of like portraying it that way, but it could be out of context. He might be face to face with actual Bruce Wayne in that moment. Who knows? But historically, the Riddler has known that Batman is Bruce Wayne is Batman, but he doesn't tell anybody, because it's part of his shtick. It's part of his shtick, but he thinks it should be a riddle that people need to get. He's going to give them hints at who it is, but the public needs to decide if they know if Bruce Wayne's Batman. Usually doesn't pan out for the Riddler. That's just classic comic books. What do you think of the trailer, Ricky?
It was interesting. I was shocked they revealed as much as they did. That was pretty interesting. I thought it actually was well executed. It was only a minute and a half or so. I thought it was pretty dang good. It was good.
Packed.
Yeah, it was really good. If I was in Japan seeing that for the first time, I'd be like, holy crap, this movie's awesome. But yeah, I don't know about the Joker. I definitely see it.
It's so weird though. Why is that picture there?
Yeah.
They wouldn't put that in the trailer, would they? That's weird.
I just think it might be a coincidence, but I'm not saying he's not in the movie. All I'm saying is just that seems weird that they would allow that to slip in. They definitely know what they're doing. There's no way it's a
coincidence.
I just don't know.
Why would they do that? I'm kind of disturbed that you're gonna put Bruce Wayne, you're gonna put a clown with a massive smile,
I know
Batman image. Are you crazy? Are you crazy? And that's a modern picture. It's Pattinson in the picture. It's not young Bruce Wayne. That's just weird. And people are saying the laugh at the end. I think that's clearly the Riddler.
I agree.
I don't
very good laugh though.
Yeah, I don't buy he's gonna be maniacally that word maniacally.
We'll use it.
What is that word?
We'll take
creepy.
it.
Just absolutely creepy. And I think he's going to be a top tier Batman villain. But do you think so there's talk right now of whether they're going to, there's two cuts of the Batman film where there is inclusion of a certain character that many people assume is Barry Keoghan as the Joker, right? Do you think the Batman should include the cut with Barry Keoghan or without as the Joker?
No, I think without. I think you go the Batman Begins route. I think I've said this before. I think you tease it.
So he's going to be in it.
Like I think it should be like not a post-credit scene, but like at the end, like Batman Begins, he gives him Commissioner Gordon when he's just the Detective Gordon gives Batman the card saying we got this guy goes by the Joker.
So you don't think we should see him?
There's already so many villains in this, and there's so many things going on, and we already have the implications with Bruce Wayne's parents, who could be part of the Court of Owls, or the corruption in Gotham that we're gonna have to uncover and unpack, and we're gonna have to set up the Gotham PD HBO Max series with this, so we're gonna have a lot of Jeffrey Wright. There's a lot to do here. I just think that'll be way too much to unpack the biggest villain, not just in Batman, but in comic book history, into this jam-packed movie already. That would just be a lot, and I don't want to overstuff this movie.
Okay, but the Joker's the Joker, and I want to see him. I want to see him. I don't. He's not gonna have a major role in this movie, but like to see him tease for the second one, I do think he's gonna be the villain for the second one. And you brought up the Court of Owls. I think the Court of Owls are in this movie, in this franchise. They're gonna be in the third movie. I think it's so clear. Like you have like the card in the first trailer with the owl on it. You're talking about the higher ups in Gotham. There's almost like this there's a secret being kept among these higher ups. Maybe the Riddler's trying to expose this in some way, or maybe Batman is trying to figure out more, and he discovers this at the end of the first movie, but then he has to deal with the Joker in the second movie. But there's too many clues to like his parents, right? How Bruce saying, how am I a part of this? It just lines up perfectly with the Court of Owls story about the higher status peoples in Gotham, how they have this own society where they have this own organization that basically organizes all society, like a la the Illuminati.
Right.
Like I feel like that's what we're building up to. I think it's a genius idea.
Yeah, and I think that I completely agree, and I just feel like this movie is going to be like the Riddler trying to tell everybody without like doing his Riddler thing, trying to be.
But he has some beef with the Waynes,
and he has to basically tell Bruce Wayne that, like, give him hints that it's his fault, basically, or his parents' fault, and also
maybe they were the head of the Court of Owls,
and also the Batman, not the Riddler, has to bring it to everybody's attention, maybe as well.
Yeah. I think in no way like Riddler's going to be a villain, because I think he's in vengeance over something. And I think his parents might have been the reason like the Court of Owls did something to his parents or like harmed him in some capacity. But I think it's just so obvious that the Court of Owls will be making an appearance. And then to go back to Barry Keoghan, I think he's just so perfectly cast if he's the next Joker. Young, we already talked about this, goes against Pattinson. You could just see it. Much more realistic than a Joaquin taking on Pattinson. And Keoghan, they did an okay job at kind of just like hiding the fact that he is playing this major character. He is one of the young rising stars in Hollywood, is one of the best villainous character actors in Hollywood. It's just not like you can't like keep hiding at the fact that he's playing this character. I think they're just going to come out and say it at some point.
Right. Like, and they've done a pretty good job. It's December, only 3 months away.
It's his brother's fault for revealing it to the world.
Yeah. It's brothers. Derek Rose's brother, Barry Keoghan's brother, like
Dr. Rose's brother.
Oh no. All right, move on quick.
All right. Ricky Flex, I got to talk about what I'm wearing right now, and I got to talk about this upcoming Adam McKay series on the 1980s Lakers. Winning Time. The series is going to start streaming on HBO Max in March. The story of the 80s Lakers, Magic Johnson, Pat Riley, Kareem Abdul-Jabbar. We're talking about Larry Bird on the Celtics, Jerry Buss, Adam McKay choosing John C. Riley over Will Ferrell for Jerry Buss. What do you think of this trailer, Ricky Flex?
Well, the trailer was great. It's everything you wanted to see. John C. Riley looks like he's just going to be a menace out there. Dr. Buss, just ladies' man, sex and basketball is all he wants in life. Love to see that. I do have one gripe with this trailer, though.
Uh-oh.
It's called Winning Time. How could it not be called Showtime?
What the heck is that? It should be Showtime.
It's
I can't believe that
ridiculous.
either. I was going to bring that up if you didn't. That's kind of BS. Winning Time. Time is already in there. How do you not name it Showtime?
And they say like the story of I think the tagline is like the story of the 80s Showtime Lakers. Like you already say.
Do you think it's HBO versus like Showtime? They didn't want to give the name Showtime to an
yes.
HBO show.
Yes.
I think that's it too. That's BS, right?
Ridiculous. It is
petty.
Oh, petty wars to the max. I can't believe they did that. Winning Time is a good name, but when you're just thinking of the Showtime Lakers and you don't call it Showtime, you say Winning Time, it's not the same.
It's right there. It's right there. They refuse to do it. It's right there. I mean, but there are some cool moments when I'm watching this. Like first of all, I feel bad for Kareem. Because I feel like in every capacity, Magic overshadows Kareem in terms of his career, in terms of discussion. Like he's the best player on the Lakers. And I think everyone kind of like puts Kareem in a back seat when Kareem, you could argue, was even better basketball player than Michael Jordan. Excuse me, not Michael Jordan. Excuse me, Magic Johnson, other MJ. That might get me ripped. But we're talking about like the all-time leading point scorer, a guy who's won 6 MVPs and he's won.
It's just like
one more title. Like it's just crazy.
It's crazy because he's also a movie star.
Dude, the part with Airplane, I'm like, yes.
Right when I saw that, I'm like, Adam McKay, certified fresh, like this series, boom. I like inject it into my veins, please.
I think I like the basketball scenes look pretty good. You get a little glimpse of what's his face? Bo Burnham. Bo Burnham as Larry Bird.
You saw a little. You didn't really see a good one.
Well, I think I was kind of skeptical of a Bo Burnham casting of Larry Bird. Now I've seen the tone of this series. I'm very much open to this casting. I think it could be very good. And you're right. The basketball was not exceptional, but
I'll wait and see on it.
Yeah. So I like seeing like Magic like by himself throwing up alley-oops and dunks and whatever, like but to teammates or whatever. It looked okay. Like it didn't look terrible, but I thought the scenes where they actually were playing the Celtics, I kind of was digging it. I was like, "Ooh, this kind of has a good vibe to it." The graininess to it too looked like I'm watching on like NBA.
Yeah. And I'll say a couple more things. Paul Westaver, Jason Segel. That looks accurate.
Surprising. Paul
Westfall. Sorry. But what I say doesn't look accurate.
Brody.
Pat Riley. What is that?
Brody,
that was a shock to me of the trailer besides the name.
I'm about to give a huge compliment to Pat Riley. Adrian Brody does not look nearly as handsome as Pat Riley.
I don't understand. Like they didn't do the slick back hair. They didn't do the slick back hair. Like they just didn't portray him correctly at all.
His hair is like floppy forwards. And doesn't he have a mustache?
Oh.
In the trailer? Am I right?
In the trailer. Yeah, he might.
Like, when did Pat Riley have a mustache?
Never. I'll never say never.
I don't remember that. I just remember him with the slick back hair.
He's a good-looking dude, still at like Adrian 80 Brody years old.
Like he wasn't.
Yeah,
you know?
And Adrian Brody. It's ridiculous. That was like the shock of besides the name not being Showtime.
Yeah. So this is like, now I think about it, like you see Adrian Brody, like when you think of Adam McKay connection to Succession, and you think of also like who would have been another Larry Bird. Imagine they put like Sarsgaard for like think about season 3 of Succession as Larry Bird instead of Bo Burnham. But I think the Bo Burnham casting is good for an Adam McKay like a run show for this like lighthearted series on the Showtime Lakers. It's just gonna be interesting if they ever like what time frame are they gonna cover? Like, are they gonna go to the late 90s? Is it gonna be one season at a time? Like, are they gonna do multiple seasons where like 80 season, 81 season, 82, 83? Like, are they going to do it in that manner? Like, is this just like a limited series? I don't know. Like, what do you think they're going to do here?
I didn't even think about multiple seasons. I know when you said that at first, like,
it's going to be the opener for this episode.
I was just like, what the heck? But let's see, like Jerry Buss, he bought the Lakers in 79, moved in, and obviously went to LA, right?
Drafted Magic immediately.
Exactly. So it's going to start there. And then you got Airplane coming out the following year. So Kareem, and like they play the Celtics that year, and like Magic plays center when Kareem's out. So it's probably going to focus on that year, and that year is so pivotal because it starts everything right for that whole era. So I think the majority of this show, this season, will be on that. Will they have another season? Because obviously they dominate the 80s are one of the big factors with the Celtics there. It's just like you can't cover that in one season. So multiple seasons, I could see it, but definitely let's just get this first one done first. And I think it's probably going to be 2 years, 79 and 80.
I'm a little afraid it's gonna be a little too goofy. Like I do like the tone, like that for Adam McKay show, but is it gonna be goofy? You got like Riley breaking the fourth wall, a la Big Short, and things like that. Is he the one that's consistently going to be breaking the fourth wall? Will Magic Johnson be doing so? I could see him like looking at the camera, winking before he like takes 5 girls like to his bedroom or something like that. So I don't know. I don't want it to be too goofy. I want it, it does look entertaining, but I don't want it to cross that line, if you know what I mean.
Yeah, I could see that too. I think that's a good point that you make, and I could definitely see that. But every time I see like a trailer for something with a director I know or even don't know, but I just see what type, but like what they show, like from the director of, and they show their prior movie, their resume, their CV or whatever. Adam McKay picked Anchorman. He picked Vice. And then they also put in Big Short. So they put in a comedy, they put in a comedy drama, and then they put in a drama. They put in all the elements here. So I think I do agree with you, but I do think that they're going to put in some dramatic aspects.
They still want to make that, have that HBO prestige TV feel to it. You know?
Yes.
Yeah, that's what I got. I'm pumped for it. What we're looking at, March, I believe.
March.
So March, same month as the Batman. We're getting
huge content.
Great content coming March. Then we also had a trailer for Sonic the Hedgehog 2. We had a trailer for Fantastic Beasts: The Secrets of Dumbledore. We got our first look at Mads Mikkelsen as Grindelwald in place of Johnny Depp. The film's releasing on April 15th in theaters. Ricky, do you give a crap about that?
Didn't even watch the second one. Fell asleep at the first one, and I was so excited when I saw the first one, and I thought it was terrible. Fell asleep.
I feel like I forced myself to like the first one because I'm a Harry Potter fan of the original like series or the 8 movies that came, but I feel like I forced myself to like the first one. I didn't even bother with the second one.
Yeah, and like Eddie Redmayne, like it's like, what are we doing? Like right.
I like Mads Mikkelsen instead of Johnny Depp. I think Mads Mikkelsen is a more
less corny, less cringy, better villain type character.
Like we've seen what he's done with the Bond franchise, right? And him as Hannibal Lecter. Like I think it's just more appeal. Like Johnny Depp, I feel like
he looked the part
done,
but
he's kind of done. Whereas like people just don't want to hear about Johnny Depp anymore for some reason. It's him and the Amber Heard thing, and people just like feels like you're one side or the other on that. Personally, that's a reason why I don't want to see him, because I feel like if you put him in something, it's just you're gonna hear more and more about like this case that I personally don't care about. So it's just like, get him out of there anyway. And Mads Mikkelsen's coming off another round. You know, he's still like relevant.
He's on a heater. Yeah, that would be like the one thing. I'd be like, all right, maybe I will see this because of Mads. Everyone else, like, I don't know. But like Johnny Depp, like he looked pretty good, as like he looked so villainy with the hair pushed up and spiked up and everything, but he just wasn't very good. And then like Johnny Depp, he's kind of like done, like you said, like City of Lies with the Forest Whitaker LA cop thing going on. He was in a bunch of other stuff. The recent Murder on the Orient Express a few years ago. Just like he's like dunzo. He's got to take.
He's irrelevant. Break. He's irrelevant. Yeah. Who cares about what he does, dude? Like the last significant thing he did was Rango. Is that him, right?
I think so, but that's just a voice.
I know. That's what I'm saying. It's just no one cares what he's doing. I'm sorry to say, just cameo in 21 Jump Street. Like, who cares?
That was a long time ago.
2014 or 2012. The second one, I think, was 2014 for.
Wow. I think you're right. Yeah. It's 2013 maybe.
For 22 Jump Street. All right, Ricky Flex, that's going to do it for the trailer roundup. All right. And the checkup.